able to now do the arithmetic.
Oh, doctor is bringing back memories.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because as soon as the scope comes, he only needs to read out data in respect of 18 candidates. Just 18. 18. Where in some instances, we not even, some party may score 0. So it should be so fast that the total collation time period for the 36 states of the Federation from where results will come, and of course the FCT, Abuja, should not exceed reasonably 14 hours. Should not. But, yes.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the different terrains and topography of the country, are you still looking at that time frame? Yeah,
I'm still looking at that Wednesday, but I think in the days of real-time transmission, I don't think that we're advertising ourselves well to the world as being in line with modern practice, modern technology. As Femi has said, look, if you can use your card from Australia and sort out transactions in Nigeria, I don't think it's good enough in 2023 for us to be confident that we can't get the results until Wednesday. I don't see why these things can be transmitted electronically with transparency and in a foolproof way. I know he's erring on the side of caution, as Dr. Williams said yesterday. I love his tone of phrase, but at the same time, this is not really where we ought to be. I believe that if without a sensible establishment in this country, institutions from bottom to top, run by the round holes in the right places. I think yesterday, by midnight yesterday, most people should have woken up this morning to know who has won the presidential election and who their senator and members are. It's not good enough to be honest.
But permit me to play the devil's advocate.
Please do.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, the last elections in the United States, I think the midterm elections, really, we had some issues also. Some states actually came in late. Some dragged for up to 4 or 5 days, a week.
But
really.
the caveat there, I know you are playing it, and which is good for the listeners.
Yeah.
The caveat there is that you know that each state has a different electoral rule. It's not one size fits all. The way they collate, transmit, and stuff is different from state to state. There's no INEC now.
I know.
There's no INEC now.
I know. Yes.
But, but the beauty of it was that the general picture was already known. I mean, within 36 hours, the general picture was already known. What we actually, what the American system had, of course, because they were late ballot people, people whose ballot arrived by mail. By post office. Can you imagine? You vote and post. And post your ballot, and it will be counted. So, but the general picture was already established within the first 36 hours, and you could know who the president of the United States was within 36 hours. I think we will do well if we can get dedicated lines. Even if it's not dedicated lines, you can fax the report.
Satellite links.
Satellite links. It should not be it should not be rocket science to send a data of just about 1 page across from Akure or Kaura Namuda to Abuja.
And that means, Doctor, that means all act need to be amended then?
No, you don't need to amend it. Okay, so it gives latitude, a lot of latitude. So
there's no compulsion for physical announcements in Abuja.
No, there's no compulsion.
Exactly, that's why
INEC can choose to be analog or can choose to be electronic. If it chooses to be electronic, it will announce it, and people will know you are electronic. If it chooses to be analog, it will be analog, and people should know that. Professor Yakubu has announced to us he prefers analog system,
which is wrong.
You must come physically with your result, sit down, even provided 2 leather chairs
for you to
holding up, almost like a holding station for SCOF. This SCOF they have the status of professors.
No, they are professors. The collation.
They are actually not just professors, but vice chancellor of the universities.
Yeah.
I mean, these are top-rank intellectuals, and you are saying that they cannot use the laptop to send information. But he has chosen that, and it's within the ambit of the law.
Okay, so perhaps we should also look at the Nigerian state, and part of what we said off air the other time. Moving forward, some of these restructuring that we need to do, some of these reforms that we need to do about how we manage our country.
Yes.
What's the place of data? What's the place of trust here in making some of these things work?
We economic historians calculate trust as part of the asset of a nation.
Do we have it? Is it part of our asset or our liability?
No, it is not. The fact that we have not built the trust. We had it before, but we frittered it. We frittered it through deference for material acquisition rather than intellect, deference for things that are prebendal rather than things that are of real essence. And we continue to defer to the rich rather than to the intelligent. So all these things have destroyed the fabric of our trust system. But that's one of the ingredients that you must have as a capital that, as a factor you invest into the production of a working and modern state. And then the second one is the issue that has to do, apart from trust, is that you need a knowledge-driven system, a system that is driven by knowledge rather than by muscles. Now, ICT, the advantages of ICT is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to start afresh to be reinventing the wheel. The templates are already there. So you can use the advantages of ICT to send the results. And that should not be rocket science anyway. The only thing is that you can now insist that after the electronics, you need a manual backup. And that manual backup, you can send it by fax. Another one. You can send it by fax. So, and it can be collated regionally and be brought to Abuja. It's another level. It is true that the zonal system in Nigeria is not legit. It's not part of our legitimate structure. But we use it. It's not part of the constitution. There is no zone in the constitution. There's no south, northeast, northwest. It does not exist. What exists in Nigeria is the Federal Republic of Nigeria, federal government, the state government, the local government. Period. So you can, for convenience sake, collate at the zonal level and then transmit nationally. It's also possible.
Mr. Demiloye.
When people say that a successful country is based on strong institutions and not strong men, this is what we're talking about. Everything that Doctor has said and Femi earlier is based on the absence of institutions in this country. You cannot have trust without institutions. The trust that Dr. Oguyemi risked life and limb to come from Ife, to come to this place, is because this place is an institution that is respected. Why would I be here if it's not an institution? You think I'm coming here to have a party? We must learn, you see, all this one about not getting election results on time and about not using electronic transmission is based on lack of trust. The man is obviously erring at every step on the side of caution because he has a reputation to protect and he wants to leave that place with some kind of reputation, and I don't blame him. Yes,
I understand Emmanuel Ejadegele is on the line waiting to join us. Thank you so much for coming on, Emmanuel. Thank you. Emmanuel. It seems the line went, but let's take an earlier report that Emmanuel sent in from the Collation Center. At the last count, I understand that we have about 7 local governments remaining to be sent in from Osun. So that means 23 local governments have come in already. So 7. So let's take a listen to that report by Emmanuel.
197, NNPP 13, NNPP 13, NRM 19, NRM 19, PDP 8944, PDP 8944, 8944, PRP 8, PRP 8, SDP 3, SDP 3, YPP 6, YPP 6, ZLP 6, ZLP 6, 057, total value votes 17057, 383, rejected votes 383, total votes cast 17440, total votes cast 17440. We have cancellation at the two registration areas. Area code 007, a voting unit was affected. Number of registered voters there is 474, and total number of PVCs collected 417. Then at Olupa H, area code 05, number of polling units affected 1. Number of registered voters there 280. Number of registered voters 280. Total number of PVCs collected 246.
What was the cause of the?
Okay, the first one in Olupa E, area code 007, there was overvoting. And the other one, the political force came around, they bought the ballot paper and the ballot box. They bought them. So everything was lost and couldn't accept them. Also, we have two PWD. Two of them are visually impaired at Orolu H.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that result you just watched is from Orolu local government. You understand that they're taking a break at the State Collation Center at INEC headquarters, and we have 7 local governments left now. And after the break, the remaining 7, the results will be announced to the public, and then we have the full result of the presidential election for here in Osun State. But Emmanuel Ijadigele is standing by to join us now. Emmanuel, thank you for joining us. Hello, Emmanuel. Emmanuel, thank you for joining us. Okay, can you hear me, Emmanuel? Okay, but I mean, I can't hear you here. Okay, perhaps you do see now. So you can hear.
Local government areas of the state, about 23 of them actually have been announced so far, remaining just 7 local governments, like you rightly said. The INEC, the commission itself is on break now, and after the break, about 30 minutes to around, there will be a resumption of activities here. But what has actually been going on is that all of the electoral officers and the election officers have been doing their jobs very much, interestingly and judiciously, diligently, I must say. But the only issue they have is when somebody, an agent of APC, the details of the cancellation of the polling units on the documents presented by the electoral officers and coalition officers. And then the INEC chairman had to explain that what was on those papers, it's just a little bit of the details that needs to be read in terms of the figures of the election. But apart from that, nothing else is done wrong here. Everything has been going on smoothly. And I'll just show you a little bit of what's happening around the hall. You can see everybody sitting down, waiting to resume the proceedings. You have journalists here, you have observers, you have everyone who is waiting to join the continuation of the result. I'm also seeing that the state election officer, that's the vice chancellor at the University of Lagos, has actually also been helping by allowing these professors to do their job and also guide them where necessary. But so far, it's been quite the experience here at the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Osun State, Osogbo, here in Osogbo, the Osun State capital.
Oh, thank you, Emmanuel. I hope you can hear me. Now, if you can hear me, so I'd like you to confirm that we have 7 local governments remaining.
Can you come again?
You're saying that we have 7 local governments remaining to be announced.
Okay, well, I can't really hear you clearly, but I assume that you're asking about the remaining 7 local governments. Well, we've not heard from Ijibu, we've not seen Ibu coming, some other local government too. There's enough yet to come in, there's Aida yet to come in. All of this are coming, all of these local governments are yet to come in, and I'd like to show you that some of the persons who were on the IT government receiving have been coming back. That's to show that they probably have had their own break. The director of the DSS in Osun State is here. He's just taking his seat on the table. But then, like I said, we've not seen results from you, not seen from Ijibu, not seen from Aida, and they've not seen from Eden. That's the fault I can give you off the top of my head right now. So we have 3 more local governments in addition to the 4 just mentioned, waiting to receive the allocation center.
All right, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thank you, Emmanuel Dujadigele.
Well, I hear you, so I'll just give you a rundown of what has happened. The results have been coming in, and some results have been cancelled in some polling units, largely because of issues of overvoting and violence at the polls, according to what the various respective electoral officers and coalition officers have told us here at the center that there were some cases of overvoting and polling units had to be cancelled. There were cases of electoral violence that I also witnessed, as reported yesterday on our television station. We told you, particularly at the Veles village, at a better government area of Osun State, where ballot boxes were snatched and voters were intimidated and almost stopped from voting, and so results have been cancelled in this area. But that's what's been happening here. Security is tight. Everybody's going about their respective jobs, doing what they are supposed to do without anyone from getting in trouble.
All right, thank you very much, Emmanuel Dujadigele. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I can hear you. Thank you. We'll wait to get more feedback, get some more updates rather from your end.
Yeah, we'll continue with the break and bring you live updates as the event continues.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So Emmanuel Dujadigele, they're joining us today. We are making progress here in Osun. I guess we are able. Maybe we should ask the doctor. We should be able to, especially for local government result announced by the coalition officers now, be able to talk about it.
We should be able to talk about it. We should be able to talk about it.
Okay, so we have 23 local governments. We can't call it yet for any political direction where this is going, and then we can also look vis-a-vis what the voting population of the different states. I'm going to have that also projected later, but this is for Ayedire local government that also came in earlier. Some of the other results that we are waiting, according to Emmanuel Ijibu and Ede North, and some of the stronghold of the Ede North, essentially a stronghold of the PDP.
Yes.
I think Ejigbo flipped at the governorship election last time. It used to be a traditional stronghold of the APC. But I think it flipped at the governorship election, so we do not know what direction it's coming in this time. But you can see what the results are from INEC really about the presidential election here. We have 23. By the time the other 7 are coming, I have 24 now. No, 23. This is the 23rd one. So by the time the other 7 come in, then we have 30, and then we can call, for which of the parties. Our laws here somehow restrictive. So if it's America now, I know Mr. Adimiluyi would have been able to say, project, and then we talk about the winner, but then there are laws, the Electoral Act, the NBC, everywhere, sort of restrict us from delving too much into it. But but yes.
Sorry, I'm sorry to have interrupted you. Always don't drive me out. Actually, I wanted to ask you that, is it possible, as we go along, if it's possible to have the governorship election results in the local government so that we can do a comparative analysis. And I believe the viewers, I keep saying,
and the listeners also.
And the listeners also, I think they will find it beneficial, because even from a point of view of an enlightened citizen, a student, just purely academic, and it's also stimulating. If, for example, we have the governorship election from Orolu, and then we now have the 2023 election result, both presidential, senate. It will be very stimulating. I don't know if I'm...
sure. We should be able to... that would make it
lively.
Yes, so we can do comparison and see what the voting pattern of the people are. Is there been a flip, a swing, as we have,
surprise.
Surprise, upset.
In the US, you have red states flipping green, blue rather.
Yes, I know.
And we also had, during the governorship election, we areas traditionally known to be controlled by the APC, like Oshogbo, like Ejigbo, that we talked about, flipped, to the then opposition, now the governing party.
Because your analysis on the governorship election, I remember vividly, it was stimulating because you were looking for those tales of the unexpected.
Yes.
Because I know, talking to people in my own street, they found your coverage incisive. So that's what people, you don't just want results, you want comparative analysis. And that your governorship coverage was very good. Honestly, people mentioned it to me for days after.
All right, so we'll be waiting to get some more updates from Oshogbo here at the INEC headquarters, and also from Abuja. Many states are, putting finishing touches to their own processes, collating and announcing results. But for the states that have voting time extended in their own states, that will be voting today, and they're going to be closing in just some less than 10 minutes now.
Yes.
Does that have an impact in their own collation process? Would that be part of the delay?
Yes, in the collation process, yes. The collation process, yes. But do not forget that it does not affect the presidency. It may affect House of Representatives and the Senate. Because the president, the reason why it does not affect the presidency, even if it does not come in, the presidential election can still be announced. The reason is simple, is that the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, his constituency is throughout the country. So, no disruption in 1 or 2 local governments, or even 10 or even 20, can stop a pronouncement on presidential election. There are, of course, 768 local governments and 6 area councils.
774.
No, I do not want to go by the popular way, because I know that Nigeria does not have 774 local governments.
Oh, we do not?
No, we don't.
But Bakassi is no longer.
But we have it.
I will tell you. Section 3, subsection 6 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria clearly provides there shall be 768 local governments in Nigeria.
768?
No, just check. Go to your library, check. That's the law.
That's what is in the Constitution.
It's in the Constitution of the Federal Republic. I don't know why Nigerians are citing. Even INEC is making the blunder. Now, but there are also 6 area councils in Abuja. When you had the area council 6 to 768, it is 774.
Also, perhaps that's it then.
Well, it's not. The reason is that area councils are they local government?
They are not.
They are not. Supreme Court, in the case of IAG Federation against AG Abia, 30 and 35 others, 2002 April, says area councils in Abuja are not local government, and that only a state can have local government. Since Abuja is not a state, the area councils are not local government.
Oh
it's like putting 768 mangoes and 6 coconuts, and then you say all of them are 774.
Answer, sincerely, that is what they call it in Abuja. Abuja Municipal Area Council.
It's area council, it's not a local government.
Yeah. So it's not equivalent of a local government.
It is Section 3. It is not.
So Abuja Municipal Area Council.
Yeah, it's not the equivalent
of
Atakumonsa. No, it's not. It's not. And it is so clear. The Constitution provides for it in such a way that Abuja is not a sharer, not a participant in the federation account. It does not share in the federation account.
So where does Abuja get its own money then?
Consolidated Revenue Fund of federal government. When federal government gets its own share, then it can share with Abuja. That's all. Abuja is not the same class as the state of the federation.
Jesus.
And it was ruled in April 2002 by the Supreme Court, the final word. In fact, the Supreme Court ordered that the 1% allocation from federation account that Abuja has always enjoyed since 1976 up to that 2022 be immediately reimbursed and the state be redistributed among the states, because Abuja has been getting what does not belong to it.
But wouldn't it make sense, Doctor, just as an academic?
Just let your librarian search Section 3, subsection 6 of the Constitution, clearly provided, and I'm quoting it, there shall be 768 local governments in Nigeria. Full stop.
Sorry,
Nigeria is a federation of states, not a federation of local government.
But Doctor, wouldn't it make more sense in terms of even development if Abuja was to be a mayoralty like London,
many people have been saying
with
it,
the powers of taxation,
yes.
And then they scrap this Ministry of Federal Capital Territory.
That's right. But each presidency in Nigeria has never toyed with the idea of making Abuja that independent. The president has always wanted to control Abuja by appointing a minister. And if it is a ministry, that means Abuja is the business of the federal government and not of the federation. Because there's a wide difference between the federation and the federal government.
Because frankly, I think, Doctor, that the place will be better governed with an elected mayor who knows he has to seek re-election and can be impeached.
Yes.
Nobody, the federal minister or whatever it is for the Federal Capital Territory,
yes,
is not accountable to any parliament.
It's only accountable to the president.
He's not worried about re-election.
No.
And he's not worried about impeachment. Only the president can remove him.
Yes.
So I don't see how you can have it there, because if you look at places like Tokyo Prefecture, London, Paris, you will see that they are better governed. There's no Ministry of London Affairs. The elected mayor knows he can be impeached, he can lose election.
Yes.
So the place has to be governed now, and the man has to raise his own revenue. Which revenue is the minister for federal capital? This country.
Yes, I mean,
it is the constitution. So look, Nigerians have a way of carrying on with what is not correct and then pretending that is the orthodox.
But that is the position of the government.
A part of government agencies.
So I mean, so they say two wrongs cannot make it right. So if the government is wrong and the people, so maybe also talks about the docility of the Nigerian people, and the fact that the Nigerian people are also perhaps we are mentally, I don't know, maybe we are laid back. We are not as critical as we should be.
Can I make a point?
Yes.
It reminds me of Goebbels. It's not the docility of Nigeria, of any people. Goebbels said, if you repeat a lie sufficiently, it becomes the truth.
So we need to be more inquisitive, to be more critical.
It's not a peculiar Nigerian phenomenon.
It's not peculiar to us in Nigeria.
It's not. If you anywhere in the world, if you repeat the same untruth for a long time,
it becomes the subconscious, and it becomes the truth. It is established. So, see, we call the residence of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria Aso Rock, but that's a lie. That's not true. That's not the name. The residence of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is Aso Villa. Full stop.
Aso Villa,
not Aso Rock. Even the rock in Aso is named after the district. Aso is the district, and the rock is in Aso district. So it is Aso Rock for the rock. But the residence of the president is Aso Villa. Full stop.
Yes,
not Aso Rock. But Nigerians call the presidential villa Aso Rock.
That's true.
I don't know why we always say what is not correct.
Because the whole generation has grown up to see
I've heard the INEC chairman say today that there are 774 local governments.
He said it now.
That is false. Section 3, subsection 6, it says 768. The Supreme Court ruled, it says the area councils in Abuja are not local government. Who is saying anything differently? Who?
So those who did the addition,
yes,
but absolutely
in Abuja area councils, as if they are
local government,
equivalent of local government. They are not.
But so I mean, is Abuja not disadvantaged in a way?
It is not disadvantaged.
So if Abuja is not equal to a state,
yes,
its councils are not equal to a local government.
Yes. For example, to prove it,
yes,
in the arrangement. Because when you know the quality of states are supposed to be equal one to the other. Mm-hmm. That's why Bayelsa, though 8 local government, is equal to Oyo, 33 local government. It's equal to Kano State, 44 local government. And Bayelsa is less than 1/4 of Kano State. In fact, Bayelsa is less than 1/3 of Oyo State, of Osun State. Yes, it is equal. Where do you see the equality manifested in our law? It is in the number of senators representing the state.
Exactly.
3 per state. How many senators are representing Abuja?
One. So
what does that tell you? That Abuja is not a par. It's far inferior to a state.
Except so
that is why the Supreme Court banned it from participating in the Federation Account Allocation Committee. That Abuja shall not participate because Abuja is not a state. Because Section 162, Subsection 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as altered says the sharer and participator de facto. It named them clearly. Federal government, state government, and local government. Full stop. Is Abuja area council equal to local government? Supreme Court says no.
This is a...
Let any Nigerian and our hearer and listener go check Supreme Court SCNJ 4 page 1.
Was that the case when Lagos was the nation's capital?
Oh, when Lagos, not Lagos State.
Yes, Lagos.
That was the position. Lagos area was not equivalent of a state.
Lagos State.
It wasn't.
At any rate, Lagos State was created only in 1967.
Yes. There was Ministry of
Lagos. Yes, there was a Ministry of Lagos Affairs where people like Ribadu had been minister. Ribadu was minister.
Musa Yar'Adua succeeded Ribadu as Minister of Lagos.
So how about that? And at any rate, the territory of Lagos was different from the territory of Lagos State.
Yes, I know.
Much of Lagos State was Western Region, Ikorodu.
Much of Lagos was Western Region, Badagry, Epe. And that's why you have the word Ikeja. Which is Ikorodu, Epe, joint administration. Ikeja is not a Yoruba word. It's a joinery of Ikorodu, Epe, joint administration. Ikeja.
What's up? So I mean,
I don't even know. I was taken aback too because this is not a
Yoruba word. It's a joinery of Ike. That means Ikorodu. E there means Epe. Joint. JA means joint administration.
Dr. Guya, Mr. Demilu, and Kurbabola. I mean, the Ikeja matter. I think I've heard that before. It's not as shocking to me as the 774768 dichotomy.
Yes.
Now, I mean, because it's a dichotomy. You ask me.
For a moment, I thought you were going to say 419.
In fact, the reason why they brought the case before the court was to also rule on the dichotomy of the difference between what a state ought to get and how to calculate 30% derivation with respect to the natural resources accruable to it.
That was a literal case.
Yes, the federal government argued that, see, immediately you enter any coastal part, it belongs to Nigeria. But that it is the land part of a state that is a state's territory. And the states argue that no, even that water is an extension of land, because when you get under that water, there's land under it, and that the land under that water is not separate from the land on the dry ground.
Heritage of mankind.
That was during the Obasanjo era.
Of course. But Ajibola Ige was the AG Federation then.
Yes. And that was when they were calculating 200 nautical miles into
200 nautical miles. And federal government was saying anything within its nautical miles, they call it continental shelf, belonged exclusively to federal government. And the oil taken from that continental shelf was not part of the natural resources accruable to any state, even though the state is bordering it. And the state said no, it cannot. You can't calculate it. At any rate, more than 70% of Nigeria's oil is drilled offshore. They call it onshore dichotomy.
Yes.
So if you were to pay 30% only on onshore, the states will get less. They took it to court and they ruled on so many things. One, to determine which state is called a coastal state, littoral state. Which state is littoral? Some people say that Ondo State is not a littoral state. Whereas Ondo State has more continental shelf than Delta State. Ondo State has more coastal area bordering the Atlantic Ocean than Delta State. So how is it not part of Niger Delta? You know, so many questions were settled. That case was a locus classicus in Nigeria's public finance, in the definition of Abuja, in the structure of Nigeria, and in how many local governments shall have authority to benefit from federation account. It was ruled that the area councils in Abuja were not local government, and because they were not local government, they could not access the money from the federation account. I will send you the hard copy.
Well, yeah, interesting. So, I mean, perhaps, Mr. Ademiloye, our constitution is not as bad as we feel that. Maybe there's some, you know, hear me out, Mr. Ademiloye. I have fiddled with this idea over time about if our political leaders do not have the political will to effect restructuring of the Nigerian state, that many people have advocated is the way to go to push Nigeria forward. Is it possible to achieve restructuring via litigation?
No, I don't think life is short. And in the long term, as Ken said, we're all dead. I really don't think there's time for that. Honestly, what I want to see in this country is to throw out this 1999 constitution.
Away.
You know, but we've been on need for long. So I'm saying, okay, do you have an alternative? I mean, the political leaders do not have the will. You know, so I mean, so are we looking at, okay, so because we've been on these since after Obasanjo left. Even during Obasanjo, there was also the talk about restructuring. And the Southwest seems to be in the vanguard of, we've been shouting, some of our leaders have been shouting that the North seems to be towing that line also since last year because of the insecurity challenges. But some of the small wins we've had, Rivers State, remember, the federal government cut over the FIRS, the tax matter. That was a win. Some of these other ones that Dr. Okeyemi also talked about, small wins. So is it possible if there's you know, someone governizing or someone in a proper planning, can we achieve some restructuring through litigation?
Through litigation, but a dispute must have arisen. If there is no dispute, if there is no dispute, then there's no way the Supreme Court original jurisdiction in section 232 subsection 1 can be activated. The Supreme Court's original jurisdiction to hear any dispute between the state and the federal government, or local government and against the federal government or against the state, cannot be activated except there is a dispute. And that dispute must come by writ of summons, not by originating summons, as we now have. So if you now have, and of course you know in Nigeria, if you come by the wrong application, even though your case is right, it will be thrown away. Like we saw in Machina and Lawan case. If you are coming by the wrong application, the Supreme Court is not a Father Christmas to be awarding you what you did not pray. I mean, if you pray wrongly, you will get the wrong answer. Doctor, that's another argument. I mean, if we start, we won't leave here. Some people have said, why should we leave the merit of a matter and focus on technicalities? That is it. Because our legal system is 80% technicality and 20% law. Is that peculiar to us in Nigeria? It's peculiar to us because we're part of the Commonwealth. But Britain, from where we got it, it is called in Britain Statute of General Application, that was enforced in England up to October 1914. Britain, from where we got that law, has reviewed this law 16 times since 1914. But Nigeria has not reviewed this law even one time. Even one.
There's also an issue that both yourself and Doctor have skirted over. You're very correct, saying that if we can't write a brand new constitution, we could cherry pick as the issues arises, as Doctor has said. But I have a caveat there. I'm beginning to think that a lot of what you want or what you think is expedient is based on the quality of the court. So are the court, or are they going backwards? Will the present composition of the court, from the little I'm seeing, would they have made the kind of landmark locus classicus of the past? I'm not going to ask you to answer that question. I'm leaving it. It's a rhetorical question. Because given what we are seeing in this country, are we assured that we will have those kind of locus classicus under the quality we have now? I'd rather not answer that question.
Sir, I would have suggested that the National Assembly, if they have a better understanding of what Doctor has just said now, it is a thing that all of us can sit together, having a sovereign national conference and then we try to expunge whatever thing that we know is affecting our unity.
I mean, so we've had several national, sovereign national
but they are not implementing it, just to
sovereign.
under
They are not sovereign. No.
They are national conference.
We have not had
they said we could not have the sovereign national conference because we are having the National Assembly on ground.
Yes.
So Femi, the people that you are electing, that you have been electing since yesterday, to go to the federal and stay.
Yes.
Any conference, sovereign or unsovereign, is the last thing on their mind.
Of course.
These guys have gone to sort out their issues of financial security.
I mean, someone
I don't want to be a spoiled
someone taking a loan to contest
election.
You are talking
so how do you convince that person to relinquish his seat for another person
if you were a private investigator, I'm sorry, Babylon, a lot of those people have sold houses or mortgage properties.
I told Doctor the other time.
So this kind of person who mortgaged his house and has to pay back a bank loan, the last thing on his mind.
Like I watch. I don't know. Maybe you are privy to what I am about to say. There's an individual who is a member of parliament in UK. They were discussing his constituency and he came late. Because of that, the man resigned about 2 years ago. I am looking for opportunity where we are going to have such a person in Nigeria. I have forgotten the name of an individual.
A better example, which was the example I thought you were going to give, is that roughly 36%, you have your phone there, roughly 36% of the members of the United States Congress, both Federal House and Senate, roughly 36% of them sleep in their offices.
Yes.
Because Washington, D.C. is too expensive. To go, too prohibitive to go and be renting flat.
They sleep on their couch.
They sleep on the office.
Oh, yes.
Because, like the governor of California, which we discussed earlier, nobody begged you to go to the Federal House of Rep or the Nigerian.
That's your wala.
It's like the joke of the Nigerian looking for government house.
Yes.
Government house. And getting arrested.
Yes.
This man said, I want to become governor of Osun State.
Okay.
That's your choice as an adult. And the Constitution allows you. So you contest and you win. Now, what is the business of the citizens of Osun State?
To be paying for your luxury.
To be paying for your luxury. You contested.
You contested.
When you have won, you now go and you meet your classmates. Olanikwekun say, Olanikwekun, I'm going to be living in Oshogbo. Do you know any good estate agent? He will link you with a estate agent. The man will give you a house. You look at 5 or 6 points. What is the business of the people of this? If the guy who they elected as governor wants, let him sleep under the bridge now.
So you're saying if
that
I
place
run,
is not, they are not saying over there. And it is a sinner climb.
So you are saying if I run to run, I want to represent the people of Oshogbo.
Yes.
In Abuja.
Yes.
As a representative.
Yes.
When I get to Abuja, there will be no provision for me.
No provision.
But why did they beg you to come out?
I mean, for house.
Yes. If your salary
I will take from my salary to rent a building in Abuja. If I can't afford, I will sleep in my office.
Exactly.
But we are doing the same thing now. But we are doing the same thing now. They are no longer providing houses.
But they are paying them.
The monetization.
I like that word. We monetize them. So let them go and do for the house.
You're saying the one in the US is built into their salary. There is no special provision for housing allowance.
Have you met anybody who has an housing allowance who will be sleeping in his office?
Nobody does. At any rate,
is there anybody like that in the world?
The president of the United States of America feeds himself from his own purse.
From his salary as
of course now.
I mean, just go search Madam Obama. She said, if you have entertainment, it's from your money. You
even
pay.
If they receive visitors.
If you receive visitors, including your barber, your hair, your stylist, you pay.
We have disconstructed the notion of the state. For people like me whose fathers were parliamentarians, part of your family archives is that you see that these people, they are daily paid workers.
Yes.
They get a sitting allowance. A member of parliament goes to Western House of Assembly or Federal House of Rep. He signs the ledger as if he's a factory worker.
That's it.
These people have turned what is a public service into a big deal. So, what is you go there, you ask your sitting allowance. If you don't sign, you don't get paid for that day.
If you don't sit, you don't get.
We have turned this thing into absurdity.
We are doing opposite in Nigeria entirely.
No, we are not doing opposite. It is a reflection of an unreal economy in which you are not creating jobs.
Yes.
It's unproductive. And the person who tells you is a politician It is because Bobo you run on big, but now he's got nothing else to do.
So the political class is a leech on the Nigerian.
Of course.
Parasitic activity.
Of course, it is too incentivized. It is too lucrative to be a senator in Nigeria.
What is
too
that?
lucrative. I mean, what are you producing there? 35 million per month. 35 million
Femi,
per month?
Sorry, doctor. What was I telling Femi yesterday? One of the best things I like about De Gaulle, in order to save the country, when they fought republicly, one of the first executive orders, which no French president for the next 10,000 years can change. Every political office holder in France is linked, his salary revenue is linked to a position in the civil service. So if you want to know the salary conditions and everything of the president of France,
call the civil service.
You will
check the equivalent position in the civil service.
Because the president of the president of France is remuneration is the same as PAMSEC.
Yes.
That is why there are 6,000 public servants. Let me repeat it. There are 6,000 public servants in France who earn more than the president of the republic.
6,000 civil
Yes,
servants.
not 600. 6,000.
They earn more than the president.
Yes, that because what is this?
I mean, you're saying someone in the Federal Ministry of Culture and Tourism in Abuja
if he has specialist
earns more than
the president of
Muhammadu Buhari.
what's the big deal about that?
Or you're saying a director in the Ministry of Works in Osun,
earns more than
Governor.
Why shouldn't he do?
Why shouldn't he, for example?
No, I'm asking you a question.
If you are
why shouldn't it?
I mean, that happens also. I've seen this also in the UK, where there are someone, I think maybe one of his cabinet members who earned more than the prime minister. I think that was during the time of David
Let me say, sir, that it has happened in this country before. Now,
in Nigeria,
Professor Ambrose Folorunsho Ali was a professor of morbid anatomy at the University of Ibadan. Crack intellectual. The salary of a professor as at that time was 560 naira. The salary of the governor of a state, I know that of my state, Adekunle Ajasin, was 480 naira per month. A professor earned more than the governor.
Actually, I thought that the example that Dr. Guyemi was going to give, which he did it, but I know. Look at the Morgan Commission, wages review.
Yes.
Of the 60s. A professor, not vice chancellor.
Not vice chancellor.
A professor at the University of Ibadan earned 21% more than a federal minister.
Correct.
A professor.
Yeah.
At the University of Ibadan in 1962, please refer to the Morgan Commission of review of wages in Nigeria.
Exactly.
A professor at the University of Ibadan, I say that confidently, you have a phone on you there, he earned 21% more than a federal minister.
Please check it on
your phone. Udoji Commission.
Check that one out.
Look, Nigeria was once a country. These people have destroyed this one. You cannot compare a professor, the salary and remuneration of a professor at the University of Ibadan in 1962 with that of a federal minister.
Forget.
No, it's not possible.
Even councillor these days.
What are we talking about? Is a councillor not any more than a professor?
Even now.
Yes, of course.
Even now.
Look, you see when people are euphoric, my man don't win no more, they don't seem to understand that this country is in a deep structural dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? This country is in a deep because this is the same country. We went from a place where a professor and minister, they are not the same level in terms of remuneration. They are not, unless the minister is corrupt, he's not earning the same. Minister. Which one is more important to this country? Is it minister or professor? How many years is this guy going to be minister? All these people in Buhari's cabinet now, when they dissolve the cabinet,
they will go.
But the professor is a fundamental part of the intellectual capital upon which commercial capital is based. The man is not just, you see, we get everything, because they distorted. Look, a professor, right, is more important than a minister, because a professor on an hourly basis is building your social capital, which is the most fundamental. Look at a company now. There's a specialist company in London. What do? They buy intellectual property and patents. If you had bought all the songs, the copyright of Fela Anikulapo Kuti 50 years ago,
yes,
you are $1 billionaire today. Because every time they use Fela's song in an advert, play it on a radio station in London or Los Angeles, there's some coins coming into it. God bless you. Intellectual property in a serious economy,
a serious one,
is more than oil block.
Exactly.
I'm telling you that guy today.
Exactly.
So when you look at somebody as professor, it is only in a dysfunctional society that a professor will not be earning more than a minister. It is only, you work it out. Look at the social capital that a professor, a researcher, even the one who never become professor, a researcher,
create.
Look at the intellectual capital, which now transforms into social capital, which now becomes the biggest economic asset, not oil block. Now, how can the people creating those processes, given
the compensated less?
How can it be compensated less? Because I am going to be minister for 4 years. Does that show you that you are using your brains to build that? That's why I said when people talk about developing countries, Nigeria is an underdeveloping country. It's a classic textbook case out of the 1960s of the development of underdevelopment. A developing country is different from a country that is underdeveloping. We are going back in time. Look, what kind of capital votes, like Dr. Gwebi pointed out yesterday, fleetingly because of time, what kind of capital votes are you going to have in a country in which they are paying all kinds of people bizarre salaries like 35 million a month? Yeah. Do you know what 35 million naira is? A person who is earning 35 million naira a month, the kind of social capital is generating by the day is supposed to be 5 times that 35 million a month. The social capital that the guy, that is why the people who made sure that a professor at UI was earning 21% more than a federal minister in 1962, they were not drunk now.
That's it.
They understood what economic development and planning is. It's not that they were alcoholics or they were taking drugs or something. They knew the linkage between intellectual capital generated
than a professor.
Yes, sir.
What kind of society are you building? You're not building any society.
Senator Buhari traveled to America some time ago. He said he went for a conference, and at that time he met with about 6 or 7 congressmen in America. He said as he stood up and he was telling them about their remuneration, he said one man asked him a question that which one is this money they used to give to them.
Constituency allowance.
Constituency. The one that you will not
travel abroad.
Not tester code, not tester. The one that they will not ask you how you spend it. They used to
security.
Give security. He said which one is security? It's all because he said let me tell you, your country is, I don't know, is super corrupt than any other country that he has ever known. So he said that day he was shaking. But as he was trying to explain to those people, he said they never listen again. They couldn't allow him to continue the talk anymore.
Because they didn't like it.
I mean, let me give you a good example of why we are not that. If next time you go to Washington, I'm telling you something that Dr. Next time you go to Washington, one of the places you have to visit because of your level of intellect, go to the Congressional Budget Office. The Congressional Budget Office is basically a university. But those are the people who scrutinize budgets.
Budgets.
There is no specialist on earth, on taxation, on energy, on finance, that is not. The Congressional Budget Office is not just a part of the National Assembly. It is actually better equipped than most universities in the world.
Yes.
Not in America, in the world.
Attracting intellectuals,
exactly.
Is that not why your people are doing Japa there? Now, these people that vote all kinds of bizarre budgets for themselves, I'm asking you a question. Why is it that since 1999, these people have not set up a Congressional Budget Office? my very good friend.
They said we have a National Assembly Service Commission.
Yes, they now said they have NABRO, National Assembly Budget something Research Office, NABRO.
Mr. Ademile, you know,
but of course, you know that it can never be
it will not be equivalent.
My late friend, Shekolani, brilliant guy. He pains me, died about the year. It pains me that he was special advisor on taxation to the Speaker of Lagos State House of Assembly.
Okay.
Forgotten his name, the one before the. Anyway, so they sent them as a junket to Missouri. The Missouri legislature, I think it was sponsored by the United States, the aid agency. He said that when he entered the Missouri House of Assembly, House of Representatives, Congressional Budget Office, he said he almost fainted. That we are not serious in Nigeria. This is a state Congressional Budget Office scrutinizing the budget of the state, of the governor of the state of Missouri.
Not rubber stamping it.
Not rubber stamp. He said that when he is a professionally qualified accountant, when the other legislators only went down Missouri, but he as an intellectual and as a professional, as a qualified chartered accountant, he spent about 2 days. He said, "Coming, that place is not. This is a state Congress budget office. So that place is not a budget office. That place is a university. That there are few university economics or accounting departments that are equipped. He said their library alone had 70,000 volumes. Work out the space you need to house 70,000 books. This is a congressional budget for a state, not the federal government. You see, I think whoever wins this election, I just hope the person can see life in a more serious perspective. Because I don't think there's anything serious about what we are doing in this. I'm sorry to be a spoiled sport, but I think we've got to grow up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This, Femi, it's not as if we are advocating something like sophistry here. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This thing is doable.
Yeah.
We've done it well before.
Very
in the Western region, Awolowo domiciled AMA Adekunle Ajashin, Furabe trained teacher. Ajose was in university education. And they ensured Onabanjo, all of them. He put the right, look, it was not for nothing, and it is still not for nothing, that people almost worship Obafemi Awolowo. He knew how to get crackheads and put them in the right places. It was not for nothing. Otherwise, why would the economy of the Western region be leapfrogging at 11% growth rate per annum for 7 years under his leadership, when the economy of Nigeria was just crawling at 2%?
Oh, the national average was 2%. That
was 2%. Nigeria was
11%.
It is not for nothing that Oyo State prides itself as a pace setter. It's not for nothing. The Western region was actually a pace setter.
Femi, to buttress the point of Doctor, you know, Awolowo was savvy. Look, I'm not a partisan person. I'll give you one example just to buttress. When they were working out the minimum wage, about 1955 or 6, each region could do whatever they like.
Yes.
Now, Awolowo, I must tell you this. Awolowo now set a minimum wage, which was about 45% the minimum wage of the federal government in regions. You see, one of the problems that the Western region actually had was that it was difficult to get Western region civil servants to transfer to the federal civil service because they were earning about 18% more. So if you go from Ibadan to Lagos, you lose 18%. Now, when I now discussed with Chief C.N. Okeke, his son was my senior at St. Gregory's College. So we're now talking about, Chief C.N. Okeke was Minister of Finance in the Eastern region when Awolowo was Premier. So I'm now asking, say, Papa, you know, we're talking politics, you know, his son, I came to his son, and the man told me something, I'll never forget that thing. He said, this is your Awolowo. Awolowo, the man is a useless man. I said, Papa, because you are an SSC. He said, no. He said, when Awolowo set that minimum wage, they thought he was doing it as an electoral gambit.
Yeah, that it was.
But what now happened, because he was Eastern Region Minister of Finance for about 8 years. Then what now happened was that because of the minimum wage, purchasing power was higher in the Western region than in the East and the North. Now, if you want to set up your bottling plant or your soap plant,
yes.
you look for where purchasing power was higher. He said it took them in the eastern region about 3 years to find out that Awolowo had outmaneuvered them. That factories that should be coming to their own place
were coming to the west.
We're now going to the west because it is better for you to locate your factory where there are 100,000 people who are earning, let us say, 50,000 naira a month, than to locate it in a place where 100,000 people are earning 25,000 or 30,000 a month. But they didn't care. They said Awolowo just wanted to win the election. But he now saw that the investor was gravitating westwards because the pool of purchasing power was more. You get what I'm saying? That is why Bill Gates was right. If you cannot pay the minimum wage, there's something wrong with your business model. You think you are smart by not paying the minimum. No, it shows that your business model is defective.
So there's a connect between the economy, the national minimum or whichever minimum wage, and the purchasing power parity of the people.
I want to prove that point. I'm just protesting the point.
You know why I'm raising this is because I stumbled on the data sometimes back, and I noticed that South Africa has, a fewer population to Nigeria,
of course,
but the capacity of the average South African to buy brand new vehicles
is higher
compared to Nigerians is way higher.
In the magnitude of 10. I mean, see, look at it, and Pandemic has just established it. When the Western region paid higher minimum wage,
much higher,
we were able to attract one of the largest, if not the largest, pharmaceutical company in the world to be producing what we needed. Which pharmaceutical company? Imperial Chemical Industry, ICI. Producer of Gamalin 20. Gamalin 20 was a major chemical needed for controlling cocoa pod.
Yeah, in the farm.
We in Ekiti and Odo Axis know exactly what that meant.
So they came to establish the factory here.
Exactly. They came here to establish the factory with the franchise. And they were paying taxes. And they were selling what we needed to buy.
So there's a multiplier effect.
You got it.
That was why Professor Moses at the Obafemi University, the head of the Awolowo's political school and philosophy, talked about Awolowo's mental magnitude. Awolowo was operating in the multiples of 20 relative to his contemporaries. And how? Not that he was an Aljin, an Anjonu, but that he had a capacity, unusual capacity to think and to aggregate people who had the best brains around himself. I think he was not looking for someone who would be like him. No, he was looking for someone better than he was.
And he assembled them together. Allowed them to flourish.
He put them in the right places.
It wasn't breathing down.
Not breathing down their necks.
No, I think we have somebody like
it's
that.
It's only people with inferiority complex
who will do that.
I think
if you have an inferiority complex, you are terrified of somebody better than you.
You'll be looking for a woman who is less than you as your wife.
Yes.
Because you are inferiority complex. You'll be looking for a woman you can oppress. You might be your wife so that she can never grow beyond you. You'll be competing with your wife. But if you are not a person that has inferiority complex, you'll be looking for a better woman. Because you know that the quality of that woman will go directly into the training of your children. And then you produce high net worth individuals that you can be proud of.
Oh my, well, I mean, it's been sort of a lecture session. I'm sure viewers and listeners back home. What about this? I mean, very good. Very, very important. Very, very interesting. So, I mean, it processes what you've been saying since yesterday, that what lies ahead of our next set of leaders is huge.
It's huge, bro.
A lot of things that we need to do to get things right. I mean, so I don't know where the political will come from to cut down on wages and emoluments of politicians.
That's one I have no suggestion.
Look, let's put it this way. We are going to prod the doctor to make suggestions. But you see, the point is, we must start from the base. Like Femi said about 40 minutes ago, you must start from the base. You must have a realistic perspective to change things. That is how we are going to prod the doctor from his hibernation. The base is very low because, like we have agreed, I believe, all those guys who contested yesterday, they don't have the interest of your children at heart. It's not because they are nasty people or they are wicked or they are demonic. They are not. They are okay people like you and I. It's because you created the situation where it is this thing called politics that they can actually have financial security.
Yes.
They are not working in a consultancy or some in a media house, in a professional practice where they can, you get what I mean? This politics is the only way that they, in the patois, I want to run a big banner.
But sir,
you get what I mean?
I want to believe that if Tinubu has the opportunity to be the president, he can do what we are saying. I know it's unadulterated at West, but to some extent,
I'm not too sure.
You know, it's unadulterated.
I'm not saying that.
He can do it, sir.
As a taxpayer in Lagos,
okay.
Yes.
I have not seen any
of them.
That if he wins, it will be, I hope that what you wish or what you hope. But honestly, I've been paying.
You two, Dr. Ogunyemi, Mr. Ademile, say since the last of them died in the mid to late 90s, the Enahoro, Nnamdi Azikiwe, we've not produced leaders in their mold since then.
No, the leaders of such meta magnitudes have not been produced. But we have produced some exceptional leaders who had individual skills. What Awo had more than other was the group sense, group skill. Yeah. You know, it is team spirit that wins a match. Individual skill can make you sellable to different football teams.
But you need more than that.
But you need more than that. You need the capacity to have entrepreneurship skill that will wed people together with the right emotional quotient, emotional and social quotient to put them together. Hago had it in large supply. And we have not found people who could come close to half of his capacity. It is called mental magnitude.
Sir, may I say that the last man on the road died in 2000, in the year 2000. And that's Bolage.
Okay, well, I'm not so sure of Bolage. Because I know of Bolage's acerbic tongue. But
very acerbic.
Yes, which is not part of emotional intelligence at all.
That is it.
But in terms of intelligence, I think I could
so that was a flaw.
Oh, of course, it's a personality flaw.
I think I can rate him when it comes to intellectual.
But in terms of intellectual,
honestly, I can rate him.
It was a bit.
I tell you, it would have been one of the best inner wheel in the development of the Nigerian judiciary.
Honestly,
and reading it of people I know who are less qualified.
Okay, so let me put this question to Mr. Ademiloye. It's interesting how we've gone back to history, analyzing and trying to project and look at how we can improve the future. So that means that the Western region, and perhaps if you narrow it down, the Yoruba race, missed a huge chance the moment Akintola and Awolowo began to fight.
It was very unfortunate.
So if they had been on the same page,
we would have been. Put it this way: if you look at the economic program, if that schism, an unfortunate schism, regretting, I don't even want to think about it.
I don't want to.
If it hadn't have that, we would have had an integrated steel complex in Ijebu-Ode by about 1968.
Wow.
Look at that.
Before Ajaokuta.
Of course. He was on the table. It was that schism. You would have had the Western region, for example, again looking at the development program. The Western region would have stopped exporting raw cocoa beans.
Yes.
And started producing
at least processed
beans.
Yes.
By about 1970.
Yes.
Look at Brazil. Brazil, they had a democratic agreement between all political parties that by this year, nobody can export raw cocoa in Brazil again. Everybody agreed. So there was a 3-4 year transition. Today, legally, you cannot export raw cocoa beans.
You process it in Brazil.
But look at it. Brazilian chocolate is everywhere in the United States and Europe. It wasn't like that 20 years ago.
Whereas Côte d'Ivoire sends raw cocoa.
Côte d'Ivoire sends $3 billion worth of raw cocoa to Switzerland. Switzerland now processes it, turns it into chocolate bars, and sells 27 billion.
27 billion?
27. They buy $3 billion from the Côte d'Ivoire. In the same year, they turn it, they process it into $27 billion worth. Now, who has gained out of this bizarre? To me, it's like 419 now.
It's processor.
It's the processor.
If you are not part of the factory and the processing world, forget it. 80% of your wealth is already lost.
It's lost.
See, we would have been a powerful dairy exporting sub-region in Nigeria where Do you know that there were ranches,
in the
ranches in the Sheyin, in a place today we call that Fijio, in Oyo State, and in Ewushu Akoko, in the northeastern part of Ondo State. I mean, I was establishing big cattle farms. They had grandparents that you called, grandparents of, you called them Gama, something like that. They were imported from Niger and crossbred with our own local so that they could get immunity against local diseases. Veterinary doctors were in high demand. And of course, University of Ibadan has a faculty of veterinary medicine. They were producing them. Today, people don't want to go into veterinary science or veterinary medicine.
Doctors, do you know the funniest statistics about veterinary this thing to show that Nigeria is one of the most unserious countries ever created? Do you realize that? Honestly, I fainted the day I read this thing about 4 months ago. I almost had a heart attack. Do you know that since 1925, the amount of veterinary doctors registered in Nigeria, don't faint, is 5,000. Now, the veterinary doctor that was registered in 1925, is he likely to be alive now? Now, if a country has registered only 5,000 veterinary doctors in 1925, you must realize that one of my oldest friends, a childhood friend, family friend, the guy has been living in Kansas for about the last 30 years. He's a veterinary doctor produced by the University of Ibadan. But they have been living. That means that even the Punkulu veterinary doctors that you produce, only God knows how many of them are Japa. Now, a country that has registered only 5,000, let me repeat it for emphasis, only 5,000 veterinary doctors since 1925. Can you, by any stretch of the imagination, refer to such a country as a serious place? It is not. If you set up a fantastic ranch in Osun State, maybe 2,000 acres, using the model that doctors are, crossbreeding and stuff. My brother, if it's a real solid commercial entity, you cannot be employing less than 9 vets.
Cannot be less. Veterinary technicians.
The backup staff. So if a whole country, listen to this carefully. If a whole country, I told you, I almost had a heart attack.
200 million people.
If 200 million.
And the 5,000 is not. How many of them are remain? How many of them are alive?
Since 1925.
How many of them are alive?
Well, the normal thing is that veterinary medicine, even though it is medicine, is always associated with the Ministry of Agriculture. And so in our Ministry of Agriculture, we have practically taught that the only food a man will get is through crop. It's very wrong thinking. Food, what is it called? Dairy products, milk is food, beef is food. Hides and skin. You could even do some, crushing of the bones of the animal and then produce some other products. Nothing less than 20 industries will be attached to a single ranch.
Look at
nothing
the
less than 20.
I think that was God bless you, doctor. Look at the multiplier.
So you have those people taking the milk. You have those people who are in charge of taking care of the medical needs of those animals. You have those who are in charge of foraging. Those who are in charge of sharing them. Those who are in charge of butchery. So many, 20 industries attached to one single ranch. Now, imagine if you have 20 ranches. The employment will be in hundreds of thousands. Direct. Not indirect. Not people that are going to be supplying food to those ranches. No.
Pure water.
Not people supplying food to the workers. No. Not the medical or the school or the primary school and secondary school that the workers in that ranch will need. No. Just direct. Hundreds of thousands. Look, Nigeria is an opportunity missed.
Yes, I think we missed it the day we started giving opportunity to those who do not have vision. For example, there was a farm in Ibadan where they are producing dairy milk. Immediately, Alao Kala became the governor of the state. He turned it to an estate. Housing estate.
The one in Fiditi, what have they turned it to? The one in Fiditi. The military came. They will point to they say, this cow, bring it. The governor said that they needed it. The reason destroyed the one in Fiditi now. All of us know that. I've been hiding the name since. But I'm forced to bring out the name of that town, that it is in Fiditi.
Because the governor will be doing party as okay.
Including the parent stock.
And you cannot be destroying the grandparents' stock because that's the real capital.
Where in the world do you do that?
That goes back to what you said about the governor or the leaders elected paying rent.
Yes.
Not living
government,
as feudal lords.
Yes.
Awolowo not living in his house, you know.
He was living in Kado. He was living.
Was Awolowo living in government house?
No,
he was living
not
in
He didn't live in any government
in his
for
personal house.
for half a day.
Because if the governor then was paying for his meal, he wouldn't be saying, bring this,
Bring this, bring that.
bring the parents' stuff.
Because
bring...
the government house is not a restaurant. The government house is not a restaurant.
But today,
people should not be going to government house to be drinking wine and to be in the company of women of the
So, okay, I mean, because of our time, because we are running off by 3, but we should perhaps within the next few minutes project. I said we're going to ask, look at short, medium, and long-term steps that need be taken by the next set of leaders. We've looked at what it used to be in the past. We've looked at credible examples all over the world of functional societies, as is evidently a dysfunctional society. So what steps do we need to take to redress and to set us on the path of recovery and on the path of sustainable growth?
I will give only immediate.
Okay.
Just immediate. One, that there is nothing, margin of error 0. That the president, the coming president cannot afford to make any mistakes on. Number 1, the issue of Nigeria fiscal sustainability. At present, we are spending 90 naira out of every 10 naira earned to service debts. I didn't say to pay. I mean to service. 90
out of 100.
Yes. In other words, to pay interest. To pay interest. We are just, I mean, you work out the mathematics. You can never make it under that system. That's the first. 2, our indebtedness is twice. Is what our total budget in a year is our indebtedness. 77 trillion. 77 plus. 70 plus. We are just approximating, and we are still counting. We are not counting CBN ways and means. 23 trillion. We are not counting CBN's ways and means. Ways and means means the CBN can just print money or give you digital money. That is money that the CBN does not have, it will give you. Oh yes, it's possible. So we call it quantitative easing.
That's right.
And then you must talk about that. The present thing, the Naira redesigning. Oh, the president of the Federal Republic must address it. Because there's nothing illegal in our 500 and 1,000 Naira. The only thing is that you want to redesign. Okay? Spread it out. The fourth, and very critical, is the subsidy regime. Are we going to continue to subsidy? I mean, look at the clever way the president of the Federal Republic has done it. He has extended the subsidy regime to June, when he would have long left and will be cooling his heels in Daura. He extended it. We need to do something about that. And it is very, very important. Finally, there must be a call to all political parties, including their leaders, for national healing. We need to heal.
National integration.
We need to
national
heal.
unity. That's
Mr. Ademiloye.
Yes, very quickly. Somebody is going to be declared and given a certificate of return by latest Thursday morning. I wish that person luck. But if, it's not likely to be a she, unfortunately. It's not likely. If that person has the national interest, which I doubt, the first thing to do is to realize that he must build a national cohesion. Nobody's going to win this election and be declared president that is going to get more than 34% of the vote. I'm ready to put my money on the table along Thursday around the corner. Mathematically, nobody's getting 34% because Shehu Shagari got 32.6% in 1979. I believe the next government must have the sobriety, which these people are not likely to exhibit, to negotiate, if only for 20 months, a government of national unity. You must carry 70 to 75% of political and civil society with you in a government of national unity to, 1, implement in full, not half measure, the recommendations of the Oronsai Committee on the cost of the machinery of the government. 2, again, in full, not half, exchange rates must be unified. A country that is based on multiple exchange rates is a country that is living on rent seeking and cannot be a productive economy. A national agreement has to be worked out to phase out subsidies over 20 months. Unfortunately, we cannot do it overnight like Ruto did. Ruto entered the presidential residence, 18 minutes he cancelled it. But Kenya, you have to realize, is a more balanced economy than Nigeria. Nigeria is balanced. Ruto can do that. No Nigerian is entering on the 29th of May, and because that means that if you cancel subsidy on that day, when Femi comes, takes his fuel, his car, one of his many cars, to the fuel station the next day, you're going to, at today's price, a friend of mine who's a cost accountant,
yes.
He worked out that it will be 486 naira. You cannot do that overnight. So you have to work out a national democratic agreement to phase out the oil subsidy over 20 months to 22 months.
At least.
At least. Now, all these things, right, they have gone to, there's not one serious step that is not going to need national social cohesion.
Yeah.
A government, the best thing that you can say about the lack of maturity of these people, very quickly, so that friends can come, to show you what we need and what, sadly, it breaks my heart, I don't think we're going to get. If you want to know how low we are falling, look at the fantastic speech made by the Prime Minister, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, moving the motion for the austerity measures in 1963. To now show you what we need from Thursday, which we are not going to get, look at the response supporting the motion of the leader of the opposition.
Who ordinarily should
oppose this. Yeah. The leader of the opposition, Obafemi Awolowo, representing Ijebu-Remo North, he said that this is not the time for politics. That the opposition and the government, at least for the next 9 months, must work together to produce very brutal, I'm quoting, or you can, it's in the Hansard, very brutal decisions. But that was Awolowo, that was Tafawa Balewa. These were matured adults. What we need from Thursday morning, when whoever is declared makes his acceptance speech, is a mindset based on a speech of Tafawa Balewa and the response of Awolowo, that even if it's only 15 months, let's set aside, after 15 months, we go and start abusing each other's grandparents. But for 15 months, these are 4 cardinal issues. They are brutal. I'm telling you, these are brutal decisions, but we have to take it. Yeah. We do it for people. But look, the thing is this, I feel sorry because the country is technically insolvent. I believe that unless there is a form of national democratic agreement, or better still, a government of national unity, this country, I don't want to break your heart, this country will be bankrupt by January.
Well, I want to key into all that other speakers have said. But if they are talking about the government of national unity, I want the next president to take it in the way of Northern Rhodesia. When the election produced Ebe Muzorewa, Zanu and Zapo, the same way he formed the national unity government, I want the next president to take the same show. And I believe we are going to back on track.
Well, it's like we should continue. I'm sure our listeners, our viewers back home would have loved that these are roll on, but we do really need to let our analysts also take some time off to rest and also prepare to get back to work tomorrow. But it's been an interesting time analyzing. Because of the dynamics of our laws, we're not able to give you too much details about the election result, but the last time we spoke to Emmanuel, we're still expecting to hear from the coalition officers again to tell us the remaining 7 local governments, especially for here in Osun State. Results are also coming in different parts of the country. And you heard the INEC chairman said by 6 p.m. today, results will be coming into the National Coalition Center. But if you check what we have here, Osogbo local government result is in, for that local government, the result announced by Professor Badamosi Sakao Lasunkomi, the coalition officer, and Daniel Ajamu, the electoral officer there. The PDP had 19,805.
85.
19,085. Yeah, 19,085. That's for PDP.
All right.
And the APC had 28,474. So the APC carried that local government. That's the Osogbo local government. Orodu local government, Professor Jacob Shenibare, coalition officer, Anna Okere, for the electoral officer. The PDP had 8,944. APC had 7,720. So the PDP carried Orolu local government. I'm talking about the presidential election.
Yes.
That's the results we announced. The presidential election. Oriade local government, Bola Ugbo Ogunwande is the coalition officer, and the results announced: APC 11,745. The PDP had 14,982. So PDP carried Oriade local government. Okay. Also, that's in Osun East Senatorial District. Olorunda local government, Tokosa Pascal is the coalition officer. Saidat Talabi is electoral officer. Because of our time, I won't be able to give you the registered voters and accredited voters. I would have broken that down also. But so here, APC had 21,482. PDP got 14,674. That's for Olorunda local government. The results announced by the coalition officer there, Tokosa Pascal. So the APC also carried Olorunda local government. Those two local governments in Oshogbo now carried by the APC. Olaoluwa local government. Professor Joshua Ojo, coalition officer, and Olayinka Folashade BME, the electoral officer. The results announced: APC at 7,355, PDP 8,134. That's for Olaoluwa local government. So the PDP carried that local government there to Odotin local government. Professor Shuaib Olanrewaju, the coalition officer, announced the result earlier today. PDP had 14,098 votes to APC's 10,825. 10,825 was the APC. So the PDP carried that local government also. I hope you're noting the number of local governments so that we can. Yes. Okay, so Bokun local government, APC had 8,196. The PDP had 14,084. 14,084. That's all Bokun local government. So the PDP carried that local government also. Irekwadun local government, Professor Abayomi Folorunsho, the coalition officer, APC 10,437 votes to the PDP's 14,541 votes. That's Irekwadun local government. PDP also carried today there. Ilesha West local government. Ilesha West local government. Olawale Akinyele is the coalition officer. The APC had 9,803 votes. PDP has 10,841 votes. Again, APC 9,803 votes. PDP 10,841 votes. Somewhat close there. That's in Ilesha West local government. Ilesha East local government is even closer. The results announced by Professor Bola Lukman Solanke, the coalition officer. APC has 9,580 votes. The PDP has 10,089 votes. That's just less than 600 votes difference. Yes. So the PDP carried that local government also. That's Ilesha East. And Ila local government, Associate Professor Abiodun Victor is the coalition officer. The result is announced. APC 9,841 and PDP 12,334. That's for Ila local government. The Federal local government, Professor G.D. Makinde, coalition officer, APC 3,610 and the PDP 5,744. That's why Federal local government. Ife South local government, Professor Bayode Popola, coalition officer, APC 9,555 and the PDP 9,765. I'm not sure that's even up to 200 votes.
That's not up to 200. Under 200.
Yeah, so that's for Ife South local government, keenly contested, but the PDP carried the day there. And Ife North local government, Professor E.T.O. Babalola is the coalition officer. APC has 7,915 votes. PDP has 9,754 votes.
That's Ife North.
That's Ife North local government. That's PDP.
That's where Femi came from.
PDP. And Ife East local government, Professor Isiaka Olalekan is the collation officer. APC has 20,903. The PDP had 12,818. That's Ife East local government. Yeah, so that's the local government of the National Secretary of the APC. APC 20,903, PDP 12,818. And Ife Central local government, John Adiolu Odedire, collation officer, APC 19,362, PDP 10,777. Egbedore local government, Professor Bisiriyu Lukman, collation officer, announced the result. APC 8,536. The PDP has 10,432. And for Ede South local government, Komolafe Olushola Olaniyi is the collation officer. APC has 5,477. The PDP has 16,142. That's at the South local government. And Borikwe local government, Professor Tajuddin Olanrewaju Ibrahim is the collation officer. APC 15,325. The PDP has 8,921. And Boluwadro local government, Professor Oluroku Akinfala, collation officer, announced the results. APC 4,566, and the PDP has 6,076 votes. So the PDP also carried that local government. And at Akumasa West local government, Professor Mashoud Shoson, collation officer, APC 5,003 votes. The PDP has 7,078 votes. At Akumasa East local government, Professor Mabayo Jalu, collation officer, APC has 2,760. So these are the results that have been announced already at the coalition center here. This is for the presidential election, just to reiterate again, for Osun State. So we're
how
waiting
did
for the
it break?
result. But
Your break is fresh. At those 23 local governments, how did it, if we segregated it by parties?
yes, so I mean, I think just a couple of the APC had, for these results so far, like 3 or 4. Oshogbo, the 2 local governments in Oshogbo.
7 out of 23.
Oshogbo, yes, Oshogbo, Ife, 2 Ife.
The 2 Ife.
Then Oshogbo and Olorunda.
And then there's another one. I think about 7. About 7.
So we have Oshogbo for. I mean, we'll do a breakdown of that later on. Really, yes, we'll do a breakdown of that later on. But that's just the result. And like we said, we're still awaiting the other results announced by the electoral officers. So these are the ones announced officially by INEC, and we're expecting 7 more results so that which party carries.
That we can now make a
pronouncement as to which party has won Osun State. So this same process is going on in different other states. Though you know how the politicians work. Yes. They are heavy. Their situation room is sometimes even more equipped than that of sometimes by the close of election they have an idea of if they have lost or won.
Of course, because they have their officers at the grassroots. Yes. As it is said in Osun State, they have their officers, and some of them don't need to be paid to do this job. Yes. They do it enthusiastically because they have both psychological and material benefits to benefit from this. And it is very important that we take note of that positive part of the Nigerian political system.
Well, I don't want to be a sport doctor. Like any business, you need some food soldiers and
but even then,
don't mind me.
Look at INEC with all the 305 billion. See, having logistic but not political parties.
No, let's put it this way, Doctor. To buttress the point Dr. made, it's because we don't have congressional budget offices who do rigorous cost-benefit analysis. because I am not sure if a cost accountant does a cost-benefit analysis of the budget of INEC, what verdict they will give. I'd like that to suspend that in mid-air.
That's for another day. That's for another day.
No, because I'm sure that if Dr. Ogunyemi gave me 30 million naira to do something on his behalf,
yes,
his scrutiny will be very top-notch. And I can't scam him by just by not being able to give at least a detailed account of that 30 million, even if he's generous enough to discount 2 million, say as man, no man.
So I mean, by these results, yes, I think we have five. Two from Ife East and Ife Central, Osogbo and Olorunda, and then we have Borikwe, which is the local government of the governor. So we
which governor?
The former governor. Thank you, sir. The former governor. So we get more updates and we give it to you. You know, trust us on Rave 91.7 FM and Wstv that will break it to you as it is. The moment we have these details, these more results, and we'll be bringing them to you. And then before we can call Oshun, there will also be a tabulation of the result, and then you know which of the parties. This process is going on across the different states, and I think there are more results now on the INEC's iRev portal. So you as a citizen, if you've registered before, I think INEC is not allowing any registrations again, I do not know. But for those who have registered before, you can go there and access and check this result yourself. It's there for you to see, and so you can even do some tabulation. A lot of results flying around on social media, so you need to be very careful, especially for journalist colleagues. Say, be extra careful. It's better to be late in breaking the news at this time than actually in a hurry break the news and then get yourself into trouble or put the country in problems. So it's better to hear on the, like doctor will always advise us, we're on the side of caution. Yeah, it should be a guiding principle.
I'll always remember that about him.
I think if you actually adopt that principle, you're not likely going to get into trouble.
No, you're not
going to get, if you're on the side of caution, you may not be seen as being prudent. So I think this time is when to adopt that kind of, not this, don't look that Bolagi told us, but then just, be circumspect this time. But it's been a wonderful time with you, gentlemen. I don't know if you have any parting shot for us.
Okay.
Before
we're going finally.
Before we close the Management 2023 really, we can still bring Babadimili back tomorrow.
My parting shot is that we thank Nigerians, particularly in Osun State, who have done well by reducing violence and all kinds of illegal activities to the barest minimum. And we just wish that the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will take the advice that we have here humbly given, first to him directly and then to Nigerians too. And that there are certain things that should be beyond politics. The usual development should be beyond politics. Therefore, he should call upon his colleagues, particularly those whom he would have defeated, to come and help him get a government that shall heal fatherland.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for Rave FM WS this day. It was quite fun, actually. I very quickly, before Femi comes in, I'm very proud of the people of Osun State. They made everybody so proud. People phone you and say, Osun State is so quiet.
We seem to be the benchmark, the template.
No, we're not the template.
Yes.
And anybody who comes or lives in this state or works here has a lot to feel very proud.
Sort of a bragging right. You can carry your shoulders high.
We're like number one or number two in this country, and I'm proud. We
are proud. We carry our shoulders high tomorrow.
Finally, in alignment with not just Dr. Ogunyemi, but in alignment with common sense and what patriotism requires, when that's straight in Nigeria, there should be no euphoria. Whoever becomes president is my tribe, is my religion. I honestly believe, and I don't see how I can be proved wrong, that for at least the next 15 decisive make or break months, this country, whoever wins the election, should negotiate a government of national unity and have a 4-5 point agenda. We cannot shelve things like the Orosaye report, unification of exchange rates. We can no longer, there's no margin of error left. I hope they do it. It's in our interest.
Thank you very much, sir.
To come here.
For every responsibility, there is an obligation. I am acting my own part of the national development. What are you going to do? Think about it. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you most sincerely, gentlemen. Dr. Tunji Ogunyemi, Associate Professor of Economic History at the Wstv-Rave Fm University, is a man of many parts, policy analyst, is a legal practitioner, so many honors and awards, really. But we thank you for helping us and allowing us to benefit from your wealth of wisdom and experience today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And Mr. Komi Ademilu is also a member of the family, you know. We thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Former chairman of the editorial board of Daily Independent Newspapers. We appreciate you joining us on our May 2023 studios. Thank you very much. And Comrade Femi Babalola, we thank you, journalist, public affairs commentator. Thank you so much for joining us on this very, very sorry coverage of our elections. And to everyone working behind the scenes, all of our technical people, and you, dear viewers and listeners, we appreciate you for being such a wonderful company all through, starting from yesterday morning. Thank you so much. See you some other time, but all of our normal programs, all of our other programs will continue. Regular programming will return now on radio and on television. Femi Olanipeku is my name. Good afternoon.